Do you know what floating is? You'll find out what it is and how it can benefit you in this episode of the Stress Less Show. Hi, I'm Carly Myers, a stress management expert, and this month it's time to treat yourself. I'm really excited to have Keri on the show. She's a founder and owner of Halcyon Floatation Therapy Studios in Philadelphia. And as a float therapy guide, Keri focuses on facilitating healing and personal growth with her clients. Over the course of 6 years, Keri and her amazing team have helped thousands of people from the Delaware Valley find peace, comfort, healing, and well-being through their float practice. I am so excited to have you on the show, Keri. Welcome.
Carly, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get into this. I'm so excited for the opportunity to talk about floating with you.
Yes. So this is something that I experienced. Oh goodness, I started floating a few years ago, but when I first started, it was kind of one of those things I was like, what is this? And why do people do it? So I'm curious, what got you into this line of work? And maybe we can start with a few of the benefits of floating, what it is, and a few of the benefits.
Sure, absolutely. And you're not the only one that comes in with that kind of perspective. In fact, I probably was one of the biggest skeptics of them all. In general, in the very beginning, about any kind of alternative or holistic healing. But I was at my wit's end by the time I found myself in a float tank. Totally burned out from a job that I was basically working 24/7, constantly worried about bills, achieving goals at work. And I'm one of those people that's just an overachiever in general. So I constantly take on more than I can handle. And I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating right. And even though I had anxiety, it was manifesting itself in these ways, and I never really acknowledged that was my core issue. So after trying, seeing therapists, going to the doctor, taking pills, I even joined a Buddhist temple and tried to learn to meditate. As somebody who isn't very skilled in that, it didn't work out for me. And then, like I said, in a moment of desperation, I was naked in a float tank, trying to solve my problems. And believe it or not, it actually worked pretty much immediately. And then some. I learned so much over the course of my float practice in the very beginning about myself and the changes that I needed to make. And I'm so passionate about it that I decided to open a center.
Wow. I remember I just got flashbacks from my very first float. And I remember like being in the darkness. So for those of you who are listeners who have never floated before, and hopefully I'm describing this well, and correct me if I'm not. So you're kind of laying in this warm, like literally body temperature, body of water that is filled with salt that actually creates this kind of buoyancy of your body. So you just float literally with no effort. And it's almost like there's sensory deprivation. There's not much noise. You can hear yourself breathing. Like really, you are just there in the present moment, and that is it. And so I got flashbacks kind of to my first float, which was like 5 years ago now, where I laid there and I was like, type A, same like you, hustle, hustle, hustle. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? And then 15 minutes later, I was like, this is amazing. Like totally shifted when I stopped resisting it. And It really was like one of those people where meditation was it was so hard, but this felt once I got past the resistance, it felt so easy. So I'm curious, like, what do you recommend, or like, first of all, for first timers, like what do you recommend? And also, like, I know you're really interested in our overall health picture and wellness picture. So do you have advice or feedback for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So for first timers, it's the approach that's going to set you up for the most success. And it's just about being open, wanting healing. So you have that intention of going in with just simple expectation of openness. And then being mindful and aware that depending on your body, your level of anxiety, it can take a few times, and you deserve it. You deserve the opportunity to take a few sessions to learn how to calm down and to be able to achieve a level of peace in a float tank that is going to help you in every aspect, mind, body, spirit. I learned a lot in the float tank personally. And if I'm going to share some of the most important things that my takeaways from having this practice incorporated in my life to help my complete holistic wellness. First things first, you always, we have this, we're always hard on ourselves about doing things that treating ourselves, doing things that are good for our well-being. We can justify going out for beers weekly and just dropping $100 on that, or eating fast food. But for whatever reason, when it comes to doing something that's a healing treatment, we put that in a category of a luxury, and it's not. It's all about being well, and really, really respecting your body and the level of health that you're trying to function on. So number one, I think you have to prioritize investing in your health, your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. So, burnout is expensive. Injury is expensive. Health insurance, health bills are expensive. You can go out and get yourself a massage or pay for therapy out of pocket if you need to, or do something like floating on a regular basis, and end up you're investing in your own personal health and well-being and happiness. So that's one thing that I learned, because I wasn't doing that before. Another thing is you have to be diligent. It's not a quick fix. There is no quick fix. And I feel when it comes to anxiety or the way we can physically manifest our stress, it happens over time. So you have to also know that it's going to take time to undo that. Quick fixes aren't real in life at all. So you really have to invest time as well and be diligent that way.
Yeah, it reminds me, I just had a conversation with one of my clients yesterday, which she's trying to break one of her bad stress coping mechanisms. And she's like, why is this so hard? And I'm like, okay, it's 20 plus years of putting effort into a bad habit, right? It's so easy now. It's like blinking or breathing. And you have to do your due diligence to not only break that habit, but to invest the time into creating the new replacement positive habit.
Mm-hmm.
We always think like, oh, we can just take a magic pill, or we're going to find that magic thing that's going to transform our life. But at the end of the day, we're like, if we boil it down, I feel like it's old habits versus new habits. How do we break those down and build new ones and invest in ourselves so that they do become easy?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And the cool thing about that and about floating is that floating, which is my third tip, you should get in a float tank immediately. And I know that's a shameless plug, but it's absolutely true. Because,
totally not biased at all.
Yeah. The happy accident that I found. So I wanted to achieve this peace and comfort, but the happy accident that I found in floating is the reprogramming that can happen, because it's almost like when you don't have anything to fight against, when you're in a float tank, you're in a very, very basic leveled out state of mind where your stresses aren't overwhelming you, and you can take an inventory of your life, and you can kind of decide what you need and what you don't need. And it really lets you evaluate your behaviors and kind of like take in how you can change and what you need to change and how you can evolve and grow. And you do it in such a way where you don't feel bad, you actually feel good, you feel excited to be better after. And that all happens in the float tank. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. I always say that if I'm doing my job right, my clients will start out floating a lot in the very beginning, and eventually they'll be able to just use the practice that they learn in the float tank out in the real world. And then it just becomes, maybe they float every once in a while, maybe once a year or whatever. I'll eventually put myself out of business with this philosophy.
That's the goal, though, right?
We're just teaching people how to get to the root of their stress, evaluate their lives, and feel better.
So for those of us who are looking to try out floating and they want to take your advice and do their due diligence, put in the time, how is it that they can find you and start experiencing this practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on social media at Halcyon Floats on Facebook. But our website is halcyonfloats.com. We have 2 locations in Philadelphia. And if you're really looking to take a practical approach to floating, you want to visit us, halcyonfloats.com, and click on our float practice page, and it'll go into how you can start floating right away. And we actually have an offer. So if you join the float practice, which is very affordable, $54 a month is the beginning tier, 1 float a month, but you get 3 for free as soon as you sign up. So that really helps people along to get their foot in the water, if you will. and learn how to float. We offer you those 3 for free, just so it kind of eliminates that pressure and stress of I'm paying for this kind of thing. We don't want you worried about anything when you first start floating.
I love that. So definitely hit Keri up on that offer. I know I float on a regular basis. This is something that I do. I feel like I'm more of that. I'm at that point where I'm like once a year, twice a year, but I got it. I'm still on it.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to try out. It's definitely transformed the way that I view mindfulness and presence and the whole 9 yards. But we want to know from you right now, what are you planning to do this holiday season for self-care? Like what, even if it's not a float or maybe it is, right? What is it that you're going to do to take care of yourself? Because this is a crazy time of the year with family, with shopping, with travel, with, I mean, the whole 9 yards. It's crazy. So we want to know, what is it that you're going to do to take care of yourself this time of the year? Now, this concludes this episode of the Stress Less Show. If you enjoyed this week's episode, give us a big old thumbs up and let us know by hitting that follow or subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the new year with brand new episodes of the Stress Less Show. Happy holidays.